Hello everybody, welcome back to another Conversations with Projektor. Today we start with the topic, how Conversations with Projektor started. Before I go, you can contribute topics for this series on my Discord server.
The project that I've opened today is the high-tech from scratch project, which I want to work on. The series no longer exists. It has kind of transformed into Conversations with Projektor by the way that I edited that first Conversations with Projektor. Initially, I meant to take all of the highlights of maybe like the sound design and all of that stuff from that stream and put it up as a video. But I found that the conversations were much more interesting than the actual like sound design and stuff. And of course, for those that want to see the sound design, the streams are still there. So they can still go ahead and watch it and enjoy the content there. So as I said, today wasn't necessarily meant to be like an episode in that series. In fact, I'm thinking of just not doing this series anymore at all, at least the high-tech one. At least that has been discontinued. And that's just simply because not enough people were watching. In the time where all of my videos were getting 1,000 views, it was getting like 300 views, 500 views here, and the rest was all doing very, very well, right? So that is one of the reasons why I decided like, okay, the series not really doing so well as people wanted it to. Like, people didn't enjoy it as much. I'm having a little bit of the same problem with Conversations with Projektor. I like to do that kind of content a lot more. It's annoying to see that it gets so little attention. I'll continue doing them, maybe up until like episode 10 at least, to just see if people will catch on that it's actually a very cool series to watch and that there's a lot of interesting conversations in there. I think the next two should hopefully do a little bit better, because the last one did terrible, but the topic was very specific. It was a very specific one in terms of the topic that it was about. It was that one about, is sound omnidirectional? And it was like a very long chat about that. And people really didn't click on it. People really didn't care. But the next two are going to be about the mixing sessions. So there will be mixing secrets. Hopefully those draw a little bit more viewers. It does need to have a lot of viewers for the series to make sense, because in terms of editing, it takes by far the longest of anything that I do in terms of editing. I also like that it's the kind of series where I can experiment a little bit more with my editing, just maybe do like a few more effects and stuff like that. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a tutorial. So for that reason, I just like doing the series. I like having a way of connecting with my community in a way that they get to know me more instead of just the information that I know, the tutorials that I make, the sound design stuff, the mixing stuff, the kick and bass stuff. That is kind of just information that I know, but it's not really me, you know what I mean? So just for that reason, I want to keep the series alive. I think it's interesting for people to get to know me as well as like a person.
How will you make music videos?
Eternal Garden is a really great track. I like the vibe, and the video too, really trippy. Thanks. The video is very interesting, the way that we did it. It's like AI visuals, right? We're still using AI art for the visuals and all of that stuff. For the label, we are continuously working on creating new, better visuals and stuff like that as well. But we still have to rely on AI. That being said, though, it's not the kind of AI visual where you just type in a prompt and it makes the visual for you. At least not in this particular project. What we did is, or what I did in this case, and this is the same kind of technique that we used for Brain Stimulants Volume 1. We generated a whole bunch of similar images in Midjourney, or like one of those image generators. I, in this case, used Midjourney, but you can use whatever. And then there's programs that allow you to treat each image as a frame of a video file, and then interpolate between all of those frames. And by slowly doing that more and more and more, you get this kind of morphing between the different images. And then there's a whole process of making sure that it's synced up with the beat and everything like that. I'm not going to go too much into how it's exactly done, because of course that's kind of like a secret a little bit. We want to keep this kind of style around as well. But it gives very, very interesting results and very wavy results, as you can see. There's like extra waviness that I added to it in post to just kind of mask some of the imperfections in it. You can still see that sometimes it kind of tears up a part of the image a little bit. But overall it sounds, or it looks really, really cool the way that the visuals come out this way.
My thoughts on Ableton 12.
If you have Ableton, Raw is a beast. I don't have Ableton 12 yet. I'm not yet convinced that it's the upgrade that I want it to be. I've complained for a long time about several features that I would like to see added to Ableton. To be honest, I'm really happy with what FL Studio 11 is allowing me to do. There's probably some cool stuff in 12, but for now it doesn't yet feel like it's worth the upgrade. Maybe once 13 comes out, I'll like upgrade every other version, maybe something like that. But for now, I don't yet see the appeal of Ableton 12. But also that may change in the future, and I might start using that as well.
The fine similar neural stuff is great too. New MIDI stuff a bit underwhelming if you are already a Max for Live junkie.
Yeah, I understand. To me, I see it like this way. I never had any issues finding the files that I need, because I just have all of the drum files that I need over here. And for other samples that I might need, I have this other folder over here. So it's really easy for me to just quickly find the files that I need. I don't need any tools helping me find the files. So that's not really an upgrade for me at this point. The second thing is I never find myself needing more expression through MIDI. The only thing that you might want to do in MIDI is, you know, those risers that slowly go faster. I'll make one quickly so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about. This is not going to be in the project probably. You have maybe like a plug or whatever kind of sound, and it just goes ding, 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 and then it speeds up like that. There's an easy way to do that now inside of Ableton 12, but an even easier way to do it is just with the arpeggio. You just take an arpeggio like this and you turn it off sync mode, and then you just play a note like this, right? Play one long note here. This is, again, just for the example. Maybe like 2 octaves up here for the rising effect. Something like that. I don't really need MIDI modifiers to do anything like that. And for the rest, from what I've seen, it's all based around melodic stuff and a lot of melodies and a lot of that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't really find myself using it. The only cool thing that I would definitely get out of the update is being able to have effects and then piano roll in here. And that's only really nice because then it's for the YouTube video, it's really nice to have both of them on the same screen and I don't have to switch around as much. It usually makes it a little bit easier with the editing, because one concern that you have in videos a lot is, say that I have a take where I explain something and throughout the take I mess up, but I have moved around in the interface, right? So say that I'm explaining, okay, so this is going to be a tutorial about the kick drum. We're going to look at the EQing of the kick drum, and then we're going to go in here and we're going to mess around with here as well, and this and this and this. What happens is, as I'm explaining stuff, I'm moving around in the screen and I'm changing different settings. Like you could see, I just move this window down a little bit. If I now have to do another take, this window isn't going to be in the exact same position. So it's going to look odd on the video. Now what I would be able to do is, instead of moving stuff around, I can have it on top of each other and therefore always in the same spot. So for that reason, it would be very nice to have that. But that's the only reason why I could see myself upgrading, at least from all of the features that I've seen now. Like I was hoping that they would just address the plugin delay compensation. The community has been asking about it for a long time now. And it has clearly shown that since Live 11, Ableton is losing, or since Live 11 came out, essentially Ableton has slowly been losing a few customers to Bitwig, partially because of the delay compensation and because of the way that they are implementing plugin sandboxing as well. There's some other things like bounce in place is another big one. Multi-editing of clips, allowing you to edit multiple clips at the same time. Even hybrid tracks is something that people kind of want. All of those features, eventually people are going to just move to Bitwig because they cannot stand it anymore. For me, I'm still happy with Ableton, but hopefully within the future updates, they'll start to address some of those concerns and actually kind of under the hood make the software better. Because it sometimes just feels like an Ableton update is like one instrument, one effect, and a bunch of UI updates, and that's it. And it doesn't really change the core of the software. It might be the case that the code base is just so messy that changing any core feature like plugin delay compensation, plugin sandboxing, all of that stuff just requires a complete new rewrite. But I don't know. Obviously I don't have access to the source code, and even if I did, I wouldn't be able to read it. It feels like it's sometimes a little bit meh of an update. At least Live 12 feels that way. And I made a video about this. I stated my opinion in the video as well. I never have an issue with delay compensation, and bounce in place is already in 12. Bounce in place is not in Live 12, because there's a massive debate about bounce in place. What bounce in place is that you have a MIDI clip over here and you right click, bounce in place, and then it just makes an audio track with the audio render right here of this particular MIDI clip. What we have is freeze and flatten, which is different because it takes the whole track and it renders out the whole track. And in regards to the delay compensation, if you're using linear phase and stuff like that, you are going to have issues with it because it's just abnormal behavior, the way that plugins like LFO Tool work with inside of Ableton. They made freeze and flatten into one button. Yeah, but that's not what you want. You want to reduce the time that it takes to render. Because if I'm working on a track that is 7-8 minutes long, I don't want it to render the whole track. I just want it to render this little thing over here. I don't want it to have to process the whole track, because that's what it's doing when it's freezing, right? It doesn't just take the MIDI clip, it takes the whole track and then renders it from start up until, I believe, the last MIDI clip or the last part where there's sound for it. There are some exceptions to it with some plugin, like some delay plugins. They don't seem to render out delay tails and stuff like that. Or if you're doing some very extraordinary sound design stuff, then you also can have that issue. But bounce in place is definitely something different than freeze and flatten. There's a reason why people are still wanting bounce in place as opposed to just being able to freeze and flatten quickly, because it will just massively speed up your workflow. Being able to take a small part of a clip. Say that I wanted to glitch up this bit of the sound over here. I would like to be able to just make a clip out of that and just have this on an audio track, right? Just make an audio track for this particular part of the synth and it rendering out just this part.
Learning DAWs.
I don't think I will ever learn to use Reaper and Ableton in the way you do. Reaper seems too advanced to learn all the features. I don't think my brain can handle it all.
That's very interesting because they're both very different DAWs. The second thing is I also don't know all of the features of Reaper. Don't be scared by the lack of knowledge about certain features. It doesn't matter that you don't know everything about the DAW to be able to work in it. And Reaper is, for just starting to work out, it is a very easy DAW to learn actually. I would say that Reaper is easier to learn than FL. In terms of interface and navigation and that stuff, because it's all in one interface. You just draw in your tracks and you set volumes and I mean, the stuff that I do within Reaper isn't production, right? I do mixing, so I just import audio files and then play the audio files and that's it. And in that case, you don't need to do a lot of things to actually start using the DAW.
My recent DJ sets have been misunderstood.
I expected you to actually record you playing a DJ set, not just the audio mix.
I think you didn't watch the video I did on the DJ set, because I actually did do that. But I'm not releasing that. At least not now yet, because the place where I'm recording, it doesn't look good. Like I don't have a nice set for that, right? Even here with the camera, I have the piano that looks cool, I have the plant that looks cool, I have the couch that looks nice. It looks like a cozy setup that I have here. If I'm DJing, it just looks like I'm standing in like a cold apartment, which really I am. So that's the reason why the DJ set didn't get released as actual visuals of me DJing. But hopefully someday I can build like a little area where I can actually have a camera set up and make it look nice when I'm DJing, and then I will do that.
My gaming history.
Have you played any 8-bit consoles as a kid/teen? Any favorite games? Well, I'm 26, so for me the consoles that were out when I was like getting into gaming were the Nintendo DS. That's the main, I guess, console. It's like a handheld thing, so it's not really a console, but that's the main thing that I got. I also had a PlayStation, which I never really used it. The reason for it is because we couldn't get our Wi-Fi to connect in a way that it would allow for online play. So the only way that I could play was completely by myself. As somebody having friends, I'd much rather play with my friends. I also at the time did have a relatively good PC, Like nowadays it would be shit, but back in the day it was actually a very nice PC. I had a Acer pre-built thing that my parents just bought for me, but it was good enough to play most games that we wanted to play. The main game that I played growing up, like any kid of my age, would be Minecraft. Yeah, I probably have like over 10,000 hours in that game, to be honest, just from the sheer amount of time that I would spend when I was I guess up until like 15 years old. I played that religiously, I played that a lot. So that would be my main game, and yeah, we just had a server with a couple of friends that we would play on, or we would hang out at one of each other's houses and have like a sleepover, but not really sleep, just spend the whole evening playing games, stuff like that. Any favorite game music? Yeah, of course, then the Minecraft music is my favorite game music, because that's the music that I grew up on. Also, I do think that it's just very good music. At least the old stuff that C418 wrote. I'm not too familiar with all of the newer music that's continuously added to the game now by other people, but C418, the first two volumes of his Minecraft albums, I guess, are very good, and I still sometimes just put them on for nostalgia purposes. Not that I need a lot of nostalgia, because I'm pretty happy how I'm now, but sometimes it's nice to hear some old music again. I don't play a lot of games anymore. The only thing that I do sometimes is playing Counter-Strike. And then not against other people, but against bots. So I'll do like 1v5 against 5 computers, bots, instead of other people. The reason for that is I found that there's not really much that is enhanced in the gaming experience if you're playing with randoms. And the people that I'm around with now, my friends that I'm around with now, just simply don't play games. So they're just not interested. I don't feel like playing with random people every match, and that's kind of the only other option if you don't have a pre-made like team of people that are willing to play whenever you're willing to play as well. Also, if I were to ask like people on my Discord server or whatever, that would just be too much organization. And sometimes I just want to chill for a little bit and have some relaxing, like half an hour to play a little bit of a game. Maybe if I have just finished like a big edit or something like that, I'll do it. Usually after a stream, I'll also do it.
Alright, that's going to be it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Let me know if you did by leaving a like, and if you're new here, make sure that you're subscribed. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.